Great afternoon. This is Broken Child Chronicles. This is season 1, episode 2, and today we have a new guest with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Rosa Rainey. Um, Previously Rosa Stewart. I just got married in November. I'm a mother of 4, 2 biological and 2 by marriage children, ages 11, 10 tomorrow, 8, and 7 on Wednesday. I am a full-time construction worker. I work in the mail industry. I am a Navy reservist. I am a nonprofit program director, and I do a lot of other things. I volunteer in the community. I'm on the delegate board for my school, and I'm in school for my bachelor's. So I do a lot of different things, but that's just a short little thing about me.
So, wow, Ms. Rainey, you wear many hats.
Yes,
How
all
do
the
you
time.
balance all of that?
Scheduling. I'm like really big on being organized and scheduling. Like I love it. I live by calendars and schedules. I have them posted all over everywhere, my phone, little books and everything. So I just try to balance it out.
Awesome, awesome. So, as you know, Broken Child Chronicles will be used as a platform to bring awareness to trauma. So, my first question to you is, what does trauma mean to you?
Okay, to me, trauma means anything that disturbs and interrupts your development, basically. So I always say, to me, to explain it, I would say thinking of a plant. So a plant needs water, sunlight, fertilizer, and love to grow, right? So if a plant is so used to sitting in the sun, getting that sunlight, getting those nutrients, and then all of a sudden they're moved to a different location where they're not getting sunlight, or someone stops watering it. Trauma to me is anything drastic that happens. It may not be super big to someone else, but it's big to that person. That happens to them that, kind of interrupts their development and process.
Okay. So, when I say the word trauma, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
So the first thing that comes to my mind for me is emotions.
Okay.
I think of the word emotions. I think of emotional and emotions because there's so many different types of trauma, but they all, once you boil the pot and you pour all the water out, once you get down to the bottom of the pot, emotions are there.
Right. Okay. So, as you said, trauma does have many faces. So, would you care to show us or tell us rather what type of trauma did you experience?
I've experienced a lot of trauma. I feel like a lot of people have, it's all about perspective and how you view it. But I would say one experience for me was one that, most of the times it is always out of your control for the most part. I would say for me, I experienced emotional trauma as a child, well, rather a newborn. So um, just in short, my mother didn't hold me a lot, and it wasn't anything, bad on her part. I was born with a broken arm. So as a mother, you're a mother. I'm a mother. So any mothers out there or anyone really will understand how delicate a newborn is. So imagining your newborn, you're already looking at them, making sure they're breathing, you being all careful and cautious with them. So my mother had a newborn with a cast on. That's a rare thing. So her the easiest thing for her to do was to change my clothes, change my diaper, feed me, and put me back down. But those early stages in your life are so important to connect and to bond with the child. And I didn't have that. So I grew up wondering why, some people don't like to be hugged, they don't like to be touched and things like that. But as I got older, I started looking into it because I was like, I really don't like being hugged. Like it's a trigger for me. I've grown now, but I'm 31 now, but this is back when I was a child. It's like aunties and uncles would come into town. It's Christmas, everybody hugging, and I'm hiding in the corner, like, please, nobody touch me, So just being very affectionate and just having that openness, I feel like once I started looking into it and researching it and everything, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Because my mother told me, she was like, I would literally pick you up, change your clothes, change your diaper, feed you, and put you down. With a newborn, with my children, I'm like, oh my God, I love you,
Right.
doing all that, cuddling with them. And I didn't get that for a very long period of time. And for a long period of time that it was detrimental that I should have received that.
So, as you said this started in infancy. But once you started to grow up, once you started to age, did that connection change?
Yeah. You mean as far as like how the trauma affected me? Did it change?
As far as your mother being coddling and loving on you.
No, not really. And it's nothing against her. It's just how she was raised as well. She wasn't raised to, be very affectionate and hug. And it's even awkward for us to hug now. Like we've grown, my husband, like we'll go visit her. My husband's hugging her first, and I'm looking like, oh, maybe I should be hugging her too. And I love my mother to death. Like she's an amazing woman, super, super sweet, super awesome. But she just wasn't raised like that, so she didn't raise me and my sisters like that. We grew up off of survival and being strong and independent. So I don't think to the first thing when I see my mother, I don't think, oh, let me hug her, So it's getting better now that I'm older and trauma is something that is being, being attention and awareness is being brought to it. So I'm like, okay, I need to do some research and figure out what's going on. And she has as well.
Okay. So into your young adulthood, how did that specific trauma affect you in your young adulthood or even in your early 20s, mid 20s?
I was very emotionally detached. Very, very emotionally detached. Once more recently, I would say within the last like 3 to 4 years, I started to embrace my emotional side and get comfortable with it. I know most people, like my very best friend, she's super emotional, super open, like we're like day and night. And I can never understand like how can she be so open? How can she allow people to see her cry and feel and talk about those things? Because I just never had that. So for me, I would shut down or I would just play it cool, like I'm not about to say nothing. Y'all not about to see me cry, So more that affected my young adulthood because I just wasn't a very affectionate person and I would hold a lot of things in and bottle up a lot of things that would bother me or even just being happy or whatever. I was just very chill and nonchalant.
Right? So, excuse me. So, you said your mother. Has that trauma affected you in any way in regards to how you parent?
It has, but I feel like I am super affectionate to my children. Very, very affectionate with them. I
Would you say you overcompensate?
said, do I overcompensate?
Yeah.
No, actually I don't. Just because at the same time, I still from that trauma and dealing with it and not wanting to be touched and hugged, I still respect their space and their boundaries as well. So I don't I show them affection, love, and attention when I feel like it's something that they're asking for or they're needing. I don't, beg them to give me a hug or beg them to give me a kiss or to do anything that they don't want to do because I know how that made me feel uncomfortable as a child. So I don't want to do that to them, but I am very affectionate. I'm not cut off to them. I'm emotional with them. We talk about feelings and all those different things that I didn't experience as a child.
How's your relationship with your mother now?
Right now, once she started to explore herself and see like, how she grew up and see, like I said, I'm so glad that mental health is something that's being brought to people's attention now and trauma and different things like that. We need more of it because I think she took a stance to say, maybe something's not right with the way I parented or, just the way I carry things. And like I said, she's a great person, super sweet. She's a deaconess. She's a great person. You know that. But once she took, started exploring it herself, our relationship has gotten so much better. And she's so open to feedback. Like she'll ask us, hey, it's for her leadership school, but she'll ask us, hey, what's some um, good things about me and some bad things about me or whatever. And when we tell her the bad things, like one thing I did tell her, I was like, when you're having a conversation, you don't provide a lot of feedback sometimes. And yes, sometimes some people do want you to just vent. They just want to vent and they want you to listen. But I'm a conversationalist. So if I'm coming to you 9 times out of 10, that's for anyone. If I'm coming to you, it's because I want a conversation. I don't want you to just listen to me. And she was like, oh, okay, so what's some things that I can do? So I'm like, oh, who are you? You know what I mean? So like, okay, well, I can tell you, but she's making an effort and I'm blessed to have that because I see a lot of mother-daughter relationships that are not good. They're not great.
Right, right. So you mentioned a couple of times about researching and diving into that trauma.
Mhm.
What measures, if you did use it, what measures did you use to heal?
To heal, a lot of different things. um, I journal. I started doing things that I was passionate about. Um,
Can you give me an example?
I started a book club, for instance.
Okay.
I love reading as a child. I absolutely loved it, and I love being able to facilitate it, bring people together, and to discuss books. Getting involved with the nonprofit. I love giving back to the community. I love being there for young girls and just people in general. I love that. So that was healing for me. I healed myself as well. I worked on myself. Like I really took time and like had arguments with myself. Like you got to stop doing this. You can't do this. You can't be like that. I'll be honest and say I had a drinking problem. I feel like at one point, and actually more than one point. And I actually took the time out to say, look, what can I do because this isn't okay? Like, what is really the problem? And it was simple steps. And it's cheesy, but I would do small things to say, okay, once a week, I'm gonna reach out to someone and I'm gonna tell them how I feel about them, in a positive way, because as silly as it may sound, that was something that was uncomfortable for me to tell someone, yo, I love you, like you're great, and this is why I love you, and this is how you make me feel. And I mean, like not like romantically, like friends, family members, that was uncomfortable for me. So that was a healing process for me as well.
Okay. Now you just said you think you had a drinking problem for a while. Were you using drinking as a coping mechanism?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, just to, how would I say, like, yeah, I was definitely using it as a coping mechanism because like now I can have a glass of wine and I'm good. Like I could go a whole week
Mhm.
without drinking, or 2 weeks or a month or whatever. And before I could not do that. I'm like, I need a shot, I need a glass of wine, I need something because I don't want to deal with reality,
Right.
because it makes you feel good and it makes you, you know, go wherever you go, so it
So at
definitely.
what point did you realize that the alcohol was no longer working for you?
Um, I would say when I started getting sick, I'm like, maybe I'm getting too old, but I can't handle this the way that I used to be able to handle it before, and um, I was just like, this is just too much. Like, I probably shouldn't be drinking this much. Like, I was never like a belligerent drunk. It was more so, I need a drink, I need a drink, I need a drink, I need a drink, I need a drink. Instead of now, it's just like, maybe I should take a nap. Maybe I should go do something that I enjoy. Like, why do I have to go get a drink just because I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling overwhelmed or whatever the case may be?
Well, Miss Rosa, that was a lot of information. That was number one. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I am glad that you're at a point where you can talk about it.
Oh,
Because I feel like there's a lot of people that could probably relate to your story, not necessarily the specifics,
yeah.
but the situation they may be able to relate to. And I really appreciate you taking the time to tell your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and being able to say that.
No problem. Well, that's it for today, guys. This is Broken Chronicles, Season 1, Episode 2. Have a good one.